Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
Here we go again. This is Love SA through Bold Moves Radio. As always, we bring to you different guests, each of whom are very special because they come from different backgrounds with different ways in which they contribute to making South Africa a country that we want to see it becoming. As I always say, that this is a patriotic movement. We cannot be the South Africa that we need if we, as individuals from our private spaces, and of course, as organizations from our different areas of operations, make some efforts to see to it that we don't only dream about South Africa one day becoming a beautiful country that we need, but instead we have to work towards becoming who we want to see ourselves as a country becoming. And to do this tonight, we have got a special guest, and she's an all-rounder. She's involved in many things that have seen her qualifying. You remember that you don't just come over to Love SA, you qualify through what you do. These actions together with those of her organizations that she works for, which is a non-profit organization, acronym NPO, named BOTSHAPELO NPO. She is here to share with us what she, together with that organization, they are doing. She is a motivational speaker. She believes strongly in social justice. She believes strongly in uplifting communities. She believes strongly in standing up, not asking the country what the country can do for her or for her organization, but what she, as an individual and the organization that she works for, can do for the country to build it to be an economy that the world can think of when they need to take whatever decisions that is aimed at developing the world. Because it's not just about South Africa, it's not just about Africa as a continent, but it's about the global village. And she is doing that by visiting the disadvantaged communities, doing something for them. Her name is Lizzy Moyo. Miss Moyo, you are welcome, and I'm doing this together with my co-host Moses, who will be joining us shortly if time permits. But Miss Moyo, you are most welcome to greet our listeners as we kickstart this program.
Thank you so much. It's only a privilege and an honor to be showcased on this show of making a difference in our country. I'm so privileged to be here, and I'm so privileged to be representing the beneficiaries that I'm here to represent in what we do through our program, BOTSHAPELO. BOTSHAPELO is an NPO based in Midrand, South Africa, that is in Gauteng. Our main mission is to empower women and children through providing best quality education and residential care to the kids that in our care in our babies' home. So we do that excellently through our 3 programs, which is the babies' home, where we take care of abandoned kids from our community, and we take care of them 24/7. They are here with us. We are licensed to take care of these babies from the age of birth to 7 years old until they are placed in places in homes of forever homes, reunified with their families, or foster care. That is, they find someone who can take care of them. So we have been doing this BOTSHAPELO has been in existence for 23 years this year. The baby's home has been in existence and was registered since then. So we have been working with the community, for the community. I'm so privileged to be representing the community. We also have uplifted teacher training program, where we empower women to be qualified ECD, which is early childhood education. So we train them to be qualified practitioners, and that gives them an opportunity to advance in terms of their education. That gives them an opportunity to open businesses in the ECD sector, that gives an opportunity to teach the right way. So we are all about equipping. They say, give a person a rod to fish, not the fish to see. So they will be the change makers and replica domino effect. They will continue impacting children years to come. We also have our ECD, which is our preschool that we run on our premises. This preschool is focused on giving quality education to our low income families in the community. These are emerging families in the community who cannot afford the high cost of education around Midrand. So we are giving and affording that child the chance to be a better person through education. We also have our last
Uh,
program, which is our app urban thrift shop. So what we do in our urban thrift shop is we sell excess donations to our community, and anyone is free to come and shop. We have lovely, lovely goods that you can do. You can shop from our shop. So what does is it feeds back, all the income feeds back into enabling our projects to continue as a sustainability project. We are able to buy the naan when we are running out. We are able to run to the shops and buy the nappies when we are running out. We are able to actually pay for some medical bills that most of our children are facing and require, because we want to give the best and only the best to our kids. We can only do that when we have sustainable means to make sure our project continues doing effectively good.
That is Lizzy Moyo, our guest this evening, that is sharing with us a contribution and that of the organization that she represents, that is BOTSHAPELO NPO, based in Midrand or in the outskirts of Waterfall City, just between, of course, Johannesburg and Pretoria. Now, she mentioned three things that they do, and we are going to unpack those things step by step at a time. But perhaps before we do that, Lizzy, I need to find out. I'm looking at the name BOTSHAPELO. For me, it strikes me as a name that has got a special meaning, that has got a lot to do with what you do. Do you want to perhaps share with our viewers, with our listeners, what are the factors that account for the name, if there are, which I believe there are such factors? What is special about this name, BOTSHAPELO,
Definitely.
in relation to what you do?
Definitely. BOTSHAPELO is a Tswana name meaning a place to run to. As I explained earlier, it is a home trusted to give the best care for our babies in our care, those that are abandoned. So we give them hope, we give them a meaning that they do care, we give them an opportunity to thrive back. This is actually rewriting someone's story that was abandoned somewhere, to say, you have a place in life and you're loved, you are cared. I'll take that from Psalms 59, where God says, we are responsible to make sure that those who are abandoned, the orphans, are cared for, they are loved, they are well taken care of. So that's the meaning of BOTSHAPELO.
Very, very, very interesting indeed. But before we proceed to unpack those areas that BOTSHAPELO specializes with, that is starting with the baby care, we are going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, Lizzy will start with the baby care to find out, delve into that, to find out exactly what happens on that part of your activities that you carry out from BOTSHAPELO NPO. But more on that when we come from the other side of the commercial break. That's how we come back from our commercial break. Just before that, I indicated that we'll be unpacking the things that they do individually. And now we delve into the baby care that you also do as part of your as one of your programs, Lizzie. Now, what we will want to find out the baby care. I had a privilege of visiting the facility about a week ago and interacted with a few kids that are there. If I may find out from you, these kids that are there, under what circumstances would you come across these kids or have them transferred into your facility?
Thank you so much. This is an emotional program for me because I've seen the work of God and the hand of God upon what has been transformed in this place. So, if you have heard stories of kids being picked in dustbins, if you have heard stories of babies found on the streets, if you have heard of babies left to die, whether in hospitals, because the mother has decided that I cannot take care of this baby. Maybe it's because of financial reasons, maybe it's because of circumstances around that lady, maybe it's because that woman was raped and doesn't need or doesn't want a reminder of what transpired to her life. So most of these are the stories that we hear and are the reasons that we get to know that these are the reasons why the babies are abandoned. So it is quite emotionally and touching for us. But what can we do? We are here to actually direct and rewrite the stories of those babies that are abandoned in our streets.
So these kids, as you find them, obviously it will be under different circumstances as they are abandoned by different individuals. Normally, the kids, when you found them on when or when they are found by whoever that happened to get these kids, any special messages that you would normally get, or you how often would you get a child abandoned with messages that perhaps seeks to give a clue to whoever picks up the baby, just to let you know that, okay, if I have to carry on looking after this baby, for example, these are the special needs of the child, things that you do. What do you do when you get these messages, if you do get them? And I'll be interested to know the messages that are commonly found with these babies, if there are such common messages.
Thank you.
Other than that, somebody doesn't get paid.
Thank you. Let me take you back to the process. What happens is when a baby is found, they are either taken to a police station or a hospital. So from there, we have an in-house social worker that is stationed here at BOTSHAPELO, a full-time social worker who deals with those social circumstances and is qualified to deal with that. So in liaison with the social worker at the hospitals or at the police station, they determine if we are able to accommodate that type of baby. So if we have space, what I mean by that is we are only able to accommodate 15 babies. That's our maximum capacity. The reason why we can only accommodate 15 babies is because we have decided to only take care of 15 based on our facility, based on the resources that we have. We aim to give the best for that child, best attention, best resources, the nappies, the food, and the care. And remember, these babies are abandoned on the streets. And as much as you can imagine it, these are the most affected emotionally, and they need that assurance that they are now in safe hands. So when these babies are found, whether they are found in the streets or in the hospital, so there are instances when the mother writes a note to say, "This is baby so and so, born on such a date. Here are the documents showing where this baby was born, and they don't leave a track of how to find them because they don't want to be known. Some instances they will just leave a name and write the reasons: I was raped, I don't want a reminder of what happened to me, and I can't take care of this baby. So there are different circumstances and different reasons. So sometimes there is no note. When there is no note, we take it upon ourselves with the health expertise that we have with our in-house qualified nurse and the hospital assistants to determine how old this child could be, and also to determine what could have transpired behind the scenes until the baby was dumped. So there are said instances where you find that they were even raped, maybe after they were dumped or before. So it's quite a emotional story that we are still also looking into joining the puzzles and determine the reasons why.
Very, very, very touching circumstances indeed. It actually reminds me of a guest we had about a week ago who is now reading for his PhD in economics with a story as he grew up that at some point eating from dustbins and waste sites, he came across a baby that was in a plastic as he was going through the plastics that are there trying to find food for the day that would serve as his meal for the day. But you said something about the names at times that will be given to these kids with special meaning. There's one that has a name of that touched me when I visited your facility. You said it's Manova. Would you want to share with us, for example, that the name behind that name? I remember there was a note that you got when the child was transferred into your facility. What is the story about the name Manova again, if I may ask?
So just note that the names are detained or changed for Protection Act. So Mangoba will
Correct.
be a name that will represent a real name that we name the baby, because we don't want a real identification to comply with Child Protection Act. But the real name behind the name means a fighter. So this child suffered severely and had difficulties in terms of their health. And so they went through a lot of surgeries, they went through a lot of procedures, and they were actually thriving and fighting for their lives. Then that's when the name came from, that this person is a fighter, this person is a conqueror. That determined his name.
That is Lizzy Moyo from BOTSHAPELO NPO, a non-profit organization in the outskirts of Midrand, and that is so. We'll continue as NGOBENI, my co-host, joins us. NGOBENI, you want to greet our guest or to say something briefly to our listeners as we flow with the show? We seem to be experiencing some technical glitches with getting NGOBENI with us, but we'll carry on as we are right now. Lizzy, something that I find very, very interesting, it is the passion that you as an individual displays in looking after these kids. When I visited the facility, the passion with which you were interacting with the kids, interacting with everyone on the premises, the way you interacted with us when we walked in was just amazing. What has influenced you to opt to be in that space of social justice?
Thank you so much. I shared with you that I'm coming from a corporate environment. They say until you have found your why, you haven't lived. And I'm so privileged that through my work, I've realized that I thrive and I glow or blossom when I'm doing something that changes someone's life. So, tracking back 10 years back, I was privileged to be working for an NPO, And then I realize this is where I want to be. This is where I want to spend the whole day. And I know for sure that as long as you're doing something that you love, you'll never work in your lifetime. And Steve Jobs also mentions that if you're not doing something that you love, there's no way you can do something in a great way. I love what I do. I love giving back. I'm inspired by the stories that I witness from the day I see the kids interact with us from the first time to the last day they leave this facility, either whether they are adopted, reunified, or find a forever home. I'm inspired to watch the kids as they enroll in our ECD center and also witness the graduations at the end, just before they get into their early education, which is their grade one. I'm inspired to see that woman who had lost hope and looked for means to live and could not find a way. And once they are trained, once they are motivated, they find their purpose, they find their why. Their brain is ignited that they can do something in their lives for themselves and also impact the people around them. Through the training that we give, they actually realizing that they can make a career out of this. We have testimonies of teachers who have noticed or have discovered that they have a calling in teaching and went on to advance in their education. And they come back and say, I want to give back because you planted a seed in my life. Now I'm educated. Now I'm a qualified teacher. Now I can teach better and actually impact the kids in a greater way. So those are just a few of the things that actually push me on a daily basis to say, ah, I'm so privileged to be witnessing these stories firsthand. I can go on and on. You can tell that I'm so passionate about education. Myself, I would always strive to make myself better so I can serve better. Thank you.
If I may ask, as NGOBENI is joining us, my co-host, how old is the youngest of those that you currently have?
So we have a 6-month-old baby. Is the youngest that we have in the house. But they
And
joined us when they were a few weeks old.
And out of interest, just on that one, under what circumstances was he or was he or she found?
I think you remember quite a few when beginning of winter. So they were found in the dustbin in the streets of Joburg. They were found by the the truck refuge removals. So they were found.
The refuse collectors.
Refuse collectors. He saw a movement in the plastic and he was curious to see. And to his dismay, he found that it was a baby and luckily was still alive. Looked for rescue and they managed to resuscitate the baby at Tembisa Hospital. The baby landed with us.
South Africa, I challenge you this evening that as a country, as a continent, we cannot say that we are free if we have these social ills that see our kids being damned under those circumstances. We cannot say that Africa is free. We cannot say that South Africa is free. We cannot say that our constitution is meaningful if we have kids that get thrown into the rubbish bins under those circumstances that Lizzy has just painted to us, under the circumstances under which our guest for the past, or rather recent past show, Mr. Who was that, NGOBENI? You will remind me of our guest that we had, the one that is reading for his PhD in economics, one that, of course, also discovered a child in a plastic bag as he looks for his meal for the day at the time. But we are coming back from the other side of the break to find out from Lizzy exactly what are normally her feelings when at the point when she has to part ways with these kids. Remember, as she indicated earlier on, that as a facility, they are allowed to keep these kids for a particular period. I think, Lizzy, you said up to an age of 7. Is that so?
Yes.
Yeah. So now, when these kids at that point they get transferred to wherever they are headed to. You have been with these kids, you bonded with them, and now, after the relationship that you have with them, seeing them leaving the facility, we want to find out how normally will be your reaction, your feelings. Mixed as they are, let's get to know more about that when we come from the other side of the commercial break. That's how we come back from the commercial break. We have got Lizzy, who has said she should take us through how she normally and the rest of the team that she works with feel when one or some of the kids get transferred to further places of care as they outgrow their stay in terms of the prescription that is imposed on them for the duration in terms of which they can only keep these kids. Lizzy?
Thank you so much. From day one, when we receive these babies, there is some bond and attachment that the team displays from the nurses, the social workers, the caregivers. We welcome the baby into home. We get a chance to say, welcome home if you can hold the baby. I'll tell you that most of the babies are very fragile. Some of them are premature babies, very tiny, and you can tell that it's either malnutrition or the stress aligned to the reasons or the state that they were found in. So they are not a good sight to look at, but unfortunately, and maybe I can put it an opportunity for us to witness the start of a great journey and witness the transformation that we are responsible and be assigned to make sure that baby thrives and recoup and be a better baby in terms of the health, to be a healthy baby if we can address whether it's the conditions that that baby has, or maybe it's just a matter of feeding the baby through a feeding plan that will be designed from day one to make sure that that baby thrives to a healthy growth rate. So we found that a lot of them, because of that, we we have to help them in terms of the feeding. We also have therapy sessions that are developed, which we call stimulation development, that is done to the baby. This helps them to actually recover faster. And with those special people taking care or monitoring the rate of growth week in, week out, they are able to point out items or conditions that we should look out for. If that is confirmed, they are then referred to specialists to say, okay, we think this child has got autism. We think this child has got a problem in the eyesight. We think this child has got a problem in the tummy. So, which always connects back for those babies that are left in hospitals because of medical conditions. The mothers might not be in a position to bear with the truth that my child is suffering from such a condition and I can't take care of or such a child. So yes, we do get a lot of stress. I think all I can say is our emotions are a yo-yo. We get the assurity that they are here because we've been entrusted to change their lives, and be said that someone thought they are now like garbage. They could not take care of this child or look at them in a different way, or we look at it in a positive way that either it's one child out of the 15 that are still out there in the streets. We have an opportunity to make sure that this child tells a story of how we can actually partner together as South Africans. Remember, BOTSHAPELO is one of the organizations, and not only BOTSHAPELO is responsible for that, you can also be a partner, collaborate with us, whether you are giving cash or you are taking care of that child to make sure that they are reassured of a better future.
Miss Lizzy Moyo, thank you once again for gracing us today with your presence. I came in a bit late to the show. I was busy with some other stuff which couldn't wait. But before I pose my question, there is this quote, or rather, I say that one man's trash is another's treasure. And I have to say, what you are doing is absolutely amazing. And it's said that out of the moral decay that we have in society and the social ills that are facing our people on a daily basis. But out of that moral decay and the social ills that have consumed our society, there is you and your team and other organizations on all four corners of South Africa who are trying their very best to try and come through for those who present with what I would describe now as a hopeless situation. Out of what you were sharing with us now, I kind of have a question. And with by the time you take in these babies into the facility, with all the medical attention given, with all the therapy sessions um, uh, taken through up to completion, up to that age of 6 or 7 when they eventually release, how likely do you see the impact of what they've been through when they are gradually aging? And are you would you comfortably say that a facility such as that is playing a greater role in trying to combat what would otherwise translate into a hopeless individual in the street?
Definitely. We have dedicated ourselves to do the best for these kids. So, in that way, I mean, we are not waiting for time to pass until this baby is placed in a home. Remember, this is a temporary home that the government has entrusted us to take care of this baby based on the history, based on what they've assessed and found. And we are proud to say we are dedicated to give them the best. There is definitely a distinction between those kids given the best and those kids given an average or below average attention and care. So we don't wait for the child to be passed on to the new mother. We take every precaution and every measure and pour into the finances that needs to be, and be it that a child needs to go for therapy. We actually have 2 babies that are supposed to be going through some surgeries, and we take it upon ourselves and we are inviting the South Africa as a whole to come and partner with us and change the stories of these kids. How do you do that? You do that through your generous giving towards the surgeries. You do that through your generous giving towards the therapy sessions that we give to our kids every week. You do that through adopting a cohort, that is the general upkeep of that child every month. So they are here with us 24/7. They feed, they bath. We have to make sure they are warm. Right now, you can see the weather is not a conducive weather at all. We have to make sure that they are eating balanced meals. We have to also make and take care of our caregivers who are our heroes, because they leave their families to spend 24/7 time with our babies. When we go back to our families to rest, they are coming in to say, I am here, I'm on duty, I'll make sure this child survives. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and give the bottle to make sure that this child is well fed, well taken care of, reassured of the love that they deserve. So it takes a lot for us to ensure that they are actually growing to be who they are. There are a lot of operational needs that we have that cater into that. Look, for example, the security of the baby's home. It is our responsibility that we make sure that they are secure. We live in a very ill world where people would want to take advantage of the presence and knowing that we have babies in our care. We have heard of child trafficking, we have heard of abductions. So we try by all means to make sure they are safe and secure through the security systems. We will do what we can to make sure that these babies are safe. And hence, I'm inviting the community, I'm inviting the whole of South Africa to make sure they come with their expertise. Remember, it's not only the caregiver who we need here to make this difference. All your expertise are are very valuable to us, whether you are coming as an organization to look into those needs, whether you are coming with your expertise to say, look, we are going to give you this service at a discounted rate or for free,
Yeah.
because we are fully donor funded. We don't have a full income of where we generate our resources. As an NPO, you can only run sustainable projects like our thrift shop that I will talk about later, to make sure it feeds into the needs of the programs. But the bigger project, the bigger cost values, we need people to partner with us. As an individual or as an organization, you can donate cash, you can donate the resources that we will be looking for to make sure that the home runs effectively. You can donate on a monthly basis. We invite companies to actually partner with us and collaborate for those programs. We invite them to partner with us for their CSI projects. We invite them to partner with us for their SET programs, so that we can together change the world. We cannot do it on our own. The load is heavy, and we are relying on well wishers. We are relying on organization to come and say, I'm here to come and make a difference with you.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lizzy. And we're going to have to go on to a commercial break just to pay some bills in a moment from now. But before that, allow me to pose a question which you are very much welcome to delve right into it after the break. I've read that since opening of this facility in 2000, it has helped up to 220 children, seeing about 200 of them adopted or reunited with their families. My question is mostly centered around child abandonment being a punishable crime in South Africa, with charges ranging from attempted murder and concealment of childbirth. How do you navigate around that for children who eventually get reunited with their families, and how skeptical are families, um, like skeptical are they to approach you to try and see if they can now reunite with the babies, looking at the fact that the reason that the baby is there, some of them, they are not necessarily handed over to centers such as those to continue with camp. Some will simply abandon, like scenarios you've explained where they're found and refuse bags and that. But please do answer that question after the break. We need to take a commercial break now.
Are you ready for the ultimate dietary powerhouse? Look no further than Masana Dietitian's Nutro Boost. Our scientifically formulated low GI food is designed to give you the boost you need to fuel your body and reach your health goals. With NutriBoost, you have the flexibility to enjoy it as a high-fiber cereal or a satisfying shake. Simply mix it with water and indulge in the mouth-watering flavors that we have to offer. But that's not all. NutriBoost is packed with essential nutrients that are beneficial for your overall well-being. Enriched with 20 immune-boosting vitamins and minerals, it's a convenient and effective way to support your immune system. And here's the best part. NutriBoost is gluten-free, egg-free, and high in omega-3, making it suitable for those with dietary restrictions or allergies. Need an energy boost? NutriBoost has you covered. It's high in energy and protein, providing you with the fuel you need to power through your day. Whether it's a busy morning or an intense workout session, say goodbye to midday slumps and hello to sustained energy with NutriBoost. Try it today and experience the difference. For orders or to become a distributor, contact us on the following details.
Good evening once again, and that's how we return from the commercial break. My name is Moses NGOBENI, the co-host of this lovely program, Love SA on Bold Moves Radio, broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. I am not alone. I'm with my host, NTSHEMBO MANGANYI, and our guest for today is Miss Lizzy Moyo, a fundraising manager at BOTSHAPELO, a baby's home, teacher training, and a preschool center. Miss Lizzy, welcome once again. If you could be so kind to respond to the question posed earlier just before the commercial break.
Thank you so much. Before you post your question, you talked about the stats that I would like to just dive in and share the stats. So 220 is 220 plus. We have exceeded that number, and the demand is still high. On a weekly basis, we have about 3 or so calls of babies that need to be placed. Hence, we can only accommodate 15. So the need is actually very big. Through the babies that we have come into contact with, you highlighted also a question that I have to look into. We are not specialties in that case, and all we do is to love, take care of the babies, and feed them. So there are departments and other organizations that we work very closely with, and in terms of the protection of the mothers before they abandon the babies. We don't take care of that aspect. We work very closely with social workers, government and private social workers. We work very closely with adoption agencies that deal and look into the way the babies are transferred from one home to another. We work very closely, actually, the social workers with the courts, because remember, these babies are under the custodian of the government. So the government plays a big determination on how the cases are handled. Of course, if I'm told that whatever I'm doing has got legal implications, and knowing very well, if I'm aware of what I'm doing, I'll try by all means to avoid the punishment. So, which contributes to the reasons why the babies are not given up openly to institutions like us, and the parents prefer to leave them somewhere where they will not be identified, where they cannot be traced back, where they will not be punished because they cannot take care of this infant.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Miss Lizzy. Having opened the doors of BOTSHAPELO about 23 years ago, that's long enough for one of the babies to have somewhat actually developed. What I wanted to ask is, do you keep tabs on some of these babies even when they are out of the system of BOTSHAPELO, moved into other facilities and then into families, eventually growing old, like undertaking some careers in society, and that? Do you keep tabs on that? And are there any examples, without disclosing who they are there any examples of those who've eventually found their path in life, as opposed to what fate at the time when they were discovered had decided for them?
Definitely, we in the baby's home, we actually have our first baby. She's actually an independent adult now, working and residing close by here in Pretoria. She does visit us now and then. And then coming to the question of tabs, we don't keep tags on the kids because we believe that what you give wholeheartedly, and you don't expect a return out of it. So if they decide to come back, it's at their own will, wish, or their own decision to come and see where they were raised for a certain period in their lives. So we don't keep tags. Same with the kids that are adopted. But amazingly, they always come back because they say good works always speaks for themselves. They always come back to see us. They always come back. And also extending to the kids that I even have never met while I was working for BOTSHAPELO. They come back as teenagers. They have this book that we have gifted them. So what we do is on the day they arrive, we document every special milestone for that baby. If they get sick, we celebrate their birthdays, we make them feel special, we dress them up, we wrap a present and make sure that they feel special on the day. Special holidays, Christmas, we make sure that someone dresses as Santa, present some gifts to them, share the word of God with them, and tell them and reassure them that they are still loved while they are in our care. So through that album that we give them, they are able to say, I want to go and see this place. I want to go and meet these people who were responsible for my childhood. So hence they always come back. We don't keep taking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Kokwan Mangani, while listening to Lizzy here, I'm getting mixed emotions about this entire project. That the foundational basis of where they are, it's those social ills that we discussed and the moral decay in society. But they are doing something amazing out of that. They're doing something amazing, and it's what I would like to see more and more in society. I am not sure as to whether we've got sufficient centers that are set up like this that are able to cope with the demand. I mean, with Lizzy having indicated that they get at least 3 or so calls on a weekly basis or on a month, I can only imagine how, if there isn't sufficient centers around, um, where those babies or those children end up in. What do you have to say to that, Kokwan Mangani, as you take off?
Ngobeni, thanks for that. Given the passion, especially the passion with which they run this facility, I had an opportunity, as I said earlier on, to interact with Lizzy. I can only imagine, for example, how frustrating it can be for them if they are unable, which is of course the case, accommodate everybody that seeks to get kids admitted into their facility. And it's not only about the calls and their inability to accommodate these new or prospective kids into their facility. It's also about the shortages. They do run short of other essentials, on their operations on a daily basis. And it is for the very reason, among others, that we have Lizzy here, because when I spoke to her, I said we need to share this story with society. We share the beauty of it, of what you are doing, but we also say to them that it is a shared responsibility. It cannot be a responsibility that is only taken care of by those donors that are there, those corporate that partners that are there that have already partnered with them to see to it that this facility is sustainable. We need more to come on board. Who knows? That could perhaps lead to an expansion of the facility, because the facility is very, very small, only taking about 15. But not looking at the number, the quality of service that they are rendering there, it's amazing. You walk in there, it is a home away from home, if you want to call that way. But for me, it was a home like any other home you can think of, because the supporting staff that she works with, very, very amazing. But perhaps now we need to move Lizzy on to, we deliberately stayed long on this one of the babies, because this is the core of what you are doing, I want to believe, and we could not have rushed you through into the other sectors of what you do. Now, let's move on to ECD, early childhood development, where you have got women that you train. And if you may take us through that, the women that you train, I guess they are from disadvantaged communities. And how do they pay their fees for enrollment to be with you there?
Thank you. To not discriminate, let me put it straight that we don't only train women, but we have found over the years that the women are more interested than the men. Privilegedly, this year we have one man training with us, which is a very odd situation, but we love to have men also do these jobs, because a child is not only from a mother, but both a mother and a father. So we don't only train women, we train men and women, but we found that only women are so passionate in this industry. So what happens is they get a year training of early childhood development training to be qualified teachers. So once they get this training, they can move on to do other jobs. They can actually start preschools. We have preschools that were born out of this training. That's enterprise development right there. Not only educating that person, but giving them the idea that they can also run sustainable preschools and employ others. That's job creation right there. They can also extend and expand their businesses, and on and on and on. It becomes addressing the social, economic problems that we are having of joblessness, addressing the kids that are just babysit set in the premises assumed to be preschool and not stimulated to be better people in the society, because we found the studies that have said to us that there is a critical stage in everyone's life, which is the early childhood stage. If your brain is not stimulated in that stage, the chances of matriculation are reduced. The chances of that individual making decision to empower or to be a better person in life are reduced. So there is a great need for someone to be stimulated that builds on to the decisions that they make in future.
Thank you, Lizzy. As brief as you can, if you can help us with this question in answering it. Shortage of men as part of your team, supporting team, looking after these kids? How much of an impact, I mean, how much of frustration does this result in, especially if you are trying to make these kids feel as homely as possible, when you look, especially in relation to having father figures in, as you prepare them to go out, to join other families, to join society from a better state.
So it is very critical and crucial for us to make sure these kids know the role players in a normal home environment. Hence, we give this opportunity for people to get screened, to get checked for criminal or child abuse, in compliance with Child Protection Act, so that they can come back and volunteer in our home. We don't just allow everyone in our home because we want to make it a place of safety. So we have to comply and go through the screening process so that we know exactly who's helping within our premises, where we are entrusted to take care of these kids, whether it's in the baby's home or at the school. If you are over 18, you have to be screened and make sure that we know who we are dealing with. So men are encouraged to also come and volunteer, come and also change a nappy in our baby's home, come and help the teachers to fix the puzzles or help them in their daily routine in the classrooms. We encourage men to come and be part of the community, because it's not a community if it's not complete.
Lizzy, we have got a lot. I think we definitely will need you in the near future to come and continue with us, because you are doing such an amazing work, and we could not rush you. For example, with the preschool that you are running, you have got the shop that is selling second-hand goods, just to get all the goodies that you need to see to it that you're able to buy things that are needed on a daily basis. But in less than 30 seconds, how do people contact you? In less than 30 seconds, please, as well.
Awesome. We are on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. You can reach us on WhatsApp. Our number is 067 013 6679. 067 013 6679. Reach us at office@botshabelo.co.za, admin@botshabelo.co.za. You can partner with us adopting a court, 3.5 only per month per child. You can also sponsor a teacher at 7,000 every month. You can also support by sponsoring school fees for those who cannot pay school fees for 1,500 per month. Any amount is welcome. I'm just giving you a breakdown of the average school fees that we charge. Thank you.
Okay, that was Lizzy Moyo from BOTSHAPELO NPO that deals with I would say community development, given their programs. And we thank you for having been with us, for having honored our invitation. And as Love SA through Bold Moves Radio, we undertake that within 72 hours of closing this show, we'll visit you to drop you some goodies that you need for the little ones there. And from us as Love SA,